sometimes the interview board forces a conclusion on you. Forcing means they already have an opinion that is already concluded. Whether you agree with or not, they force it on you. The idea is to see whether you are able to comply with it and how is it that you get out of it. One example can be with respect to Ukraine war. If they force you, that is, Russia has invaded Ukraine, what are your views on that? Now, this is the topic which is forced largely because this is a matter of perspective. Russia has invaded, Russia has done it as part of its policy, whether it was a Russian territory. So the first part is how exactly you deal with it. It is related to your knowledge. If you have a knowledge, you can go on to deal with it. Now, imagine you have to take all aspects if you are going to be dealing with knowledge wise. That means you have to defend it wrong or right. So the first part you will go on to say is I assume I understand that I am being asked whether the conflict between Russia and Ukraine is correct or not, or whether there could have been other ways out of it or not. That means you have redefined the question. So the board will go on to nod, yes or no. If it is still they are going to be saying no, then you will go on to say, so sir, as I understand it, that Russia has waged a war against Ukraine. If they say yes, then you say, then sir, it's not agreeable. That is the point where you can begin with it. It's not agreeable that Russia has waged a war, and a full-fledged war. And now you have to defend your answer. You can begin with an analogy saying that is, if someone invites China to build a base in Bihar, what exactly is it that Indian government will do? I see it from a national perspective, and I see that India will defend Bihar and this whole of the territory at all possible costs. So if Russia is doing it so, it is not a war, it is essentially for its own security interest against North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That has been one. Second has been the circumstances has been building up where NATO was surrounding Russia from every possible side. Russia had to break this part. So in order to break it, it gave a warning once, twice, thrice. It was only when this warning was not heeded and they went ahead with it, it resorted to the use of force. And still it has not used a complete force. The third has been culturally, Ukraine has always been part of Russia, and intention of NATO was already seen when they tried to mix the culture under the guise of globalization, and when they tried to mix a culture, tried to wean themselves completely away, started motivating them to follow an American way of lifestyle, then that was a threat. It was a cultural threat, it was a military threat, it was an economic threat, it was a threat of Russia being surrounded from all sides by enemy country, and it had to deal with these intents. So if it did it so, it did in its national interest, and in national interest, if a country is defending it, we cannot call it a war. That is knowledge-based, logical. Now, under such a circumstance, what is likely to happen is that you can take a stance. People are likely to take a stance. There is a no, I'm correct, or yes, it is going to be correct. And then you will start talking about India should have intervened, India should have not voted against it, and so on. Now, this is normally what is conveyed among your peer groups that take a stance. Now, understand it. When you take a stance and be with it, wrong or right, you are seen as stubborn, you are seen as obstinate, you are seen as not being a learner, you are seen as inflexible, and the best quality of a learner is to imbibe certain thoughts. You can take maybe some clue out of it and some cue out of the interview board to help you conclude this matter as well. That will show that you are flexible and that you are going to be a learner. And see how is it that the board helps you. You can always try to go to the board. You have right to be having a perspective, provided you can defend that perspective. If you're not able to defend any perspective, then you can always say, sir, I think I am lacking in some information. Maybe that is why my conclusion may not be correct. If I may know one or two aspects from any of these team members, that will help me to have a better conclusion. But on the basis of these variables, that is how I am able to conclude. It will show you in very, very good light a very good boy also, and a good girl too.
To have more such discussions and analysis, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for notifications on our upcoming videos.